Hey guys, Battleframe Studios here. Happy Halloween! All you guys doing? So this is my review of the Spider-Man Homecoming tech suit Spider-Man and homemade suit Spider-Man. So yeah, enjoy the review. Okay, here are the figures out of the packaging. I'm sorry I couldn't make a scary video for Halloween. I guess I'll just have to make this one as scary as I possibly can. So here is the wingsuit Spider-Man, or Homecoming Spider-Man, or Tech Suit Spider-Man, or Iron Man Spider-Man, whatever you want to call it, whatever. I like the head sculpt a lot, as it has this gray webbing pattern instead of the black, like with the other Spider-Man movie figures. One thing I will say is that even in the movie, that spider just looks a lot like a beetle. That really doesn't look like a spider. The eyes are really wide open on this head, and I don't really like that. If you have him with this head on, then he looks like he's always surprised. If you have him with this head on, then it makes him look like he's always angry. I don't really like that. I wish there was like an in-between, and then one Tom Holland head sculpt. Back to Spider Emblem on the back. Looks pretty good. Gets a little messy. See those legs over there? Yeah, kind of missed the mark. On the front, there's the annoying beetle spider. The entire body has this texture to it. It's not completely smooth. It actually feels like it would be spandex. I like the patterns like on the blue parts. It's nice attention to detail. Down the legs, you can see the detail in the blue parts keeps going. That's another thing about this figure. It doesn't have boot rotation. That's really frustrating because the other figure does. But this one doesn't. I think the black stripes throughout look pretty good. Not really messy at all. Here are the Spider-Man feet. And of course he has pimples on the bottom of his feet. And this is where you can see a lot of gray. Of course they did a wash over the red. See the pattern continues even on the back. You can see the spider from earlier. These are kind of skinny arms for Spider-Man. And another thing I didn't mention, the shoulders are really tiny on this Spider-Man. Like on the back of the box over here, the shoulders on this guy look really huge and buff. But then like on the actual figure, the shoulders are tiny. I understand why they did that, like to make it so that the shoulder joint can more easily move. It just looks weird. The tiny shoulders kind of make him look fat. Yeah, is that just me? Probably. You can see more of the gray wash. You can see these sculpted in web shooters. I like these web shooters, but problem with them is that when I do stop motion with this guy, I'm going to have to line up the webs with the shooter. And also they kind of hinder the articulation in the wrist. So anyway, that's the look of the figure. Of course, he also comes with these accessories. Now, I think they're really tiny compared to the wings I saw in the Homecoming movie when I did go to see it. In the movie, the wings are really large. Like, they're like an actual wingsuit, like you'll see like skydivers wearing. But then you see like the wingsuit here, and it's just two tiny little triangles with pegs on the ends. I like that they're transparent and like, they kind of look cool when you put them on there, but I don't think I'm going to be using these very much. And here is just both heads next to each other. The gray wash doesn't really continue on this one. Another tiny detail I'd like to point out, I'm not sure if you can see it, but in the tiny hole over here, there's a rectangle shape in there. I've never really seen that inside of the heads anywhere. Maybe they're just getting away that little bit of plastic to save a little extra money. That was the heads. Here are the interchangeable hands. We have the thwipping hands over here. We have the fist hands over here. I'm kind of surprised that they didn't have any wall crawling hands, because with the Pizza Spider-Man and many other Spider-Man figures, they all had wall crawling hands. I think the reason why they don't have wall crawling hands for the movie figures is because the wall crawling hands do look kind of cartoony. These hands also have the gray wash, but it's because they're so small, the gray gets everywhere. Gray mud. They all hinge up and down and whatnot, but like they all look like they're like got gray mud all over them. Well, except this one. This one looks pretty good. Here are the fists, also looking like they have mud on them. I can tell that these two hands were gripping mud, and these two didn't really much at all. The articulation on this guy is pretty standard for a Spider-Man movie figure. You can look down that much, up that much. His head swivels and kind of pivots, moves 360 degrees all around. His arms move out very easily, something that couldn't be said for this Pizza Spider-Man action figure. Didn't move very easily at all for that one. Biceps swivel. Oh, and you can see the peg for sticking the web wings in there. Double jointed elbows. The wrists swivel and hinge down, but they don't want to hinge up very well because of the web shooters. Anyway, he's got an ab crunch that moves forward very far. That's impressive. And also moves back quite a bit. His waist swivels. His hips move out that far. He kicks forward that much and back that much. That's another thing. The legs will pop off really easily. I don't know why. The upper thighs swivel. He has double jointed knees. His feet move down that much, up that much, ankle pivot, piggles at the bottom of the feet, like I said before. And of course, with the web wings in there, just a second. And there we go, there are the web wings on there. They do fall out really easily, but that was literally right after I said it. Anyway, they do fall out really easily, as you just saw. Getting it all positioned so that it lines up and completely touches, that's kind of difficult without getting them, like, full. But honestly, I don't think they're that important. You know, fuck these things. Who cares about them? They don't even look that good anyway. Now, onto the homemade suit. One issue I have with this figure is that he's taller than the tech suit Spider-Man. I don't know why that would make sense. This is him in his homemade suit that he made, like, using like $5 at the dollar store. This suit is like really high tech and even has shoes in the feet parts, so I don't know why this one would be shorter than this one. I think the head sculpt looks pretty good. It's just that the head shape doesn't match the head shape of the home tech suit. This head is a lot rounder than the other one. The other ones are kind of narrow. But anyway, if you close up, you can see the goggles in there. No interchangeable heads for different looking goggles or anything. I think they reserved that for just the tech suit. And this hood piece is actually, it looks pretty good on the hood. I think this is a very cool addition to the costume. They didn't need to add it at all. But another thing is that the spider on his chest, on the back of the box, the prototype has the spider all torn up and stuff, like all messed up, because it's like a suit that he made using like stuff he found at the dollar store, so it's gonna look crappy. But as you can see, the deco is actually really clean on here with the spider. Yeah, so it doesn't look that cheap anymore. You can move it freely, like without the head. You can move it freely without the head. Here's the back, and it's got like the bombs and whatnot. Anyway, this head sculpt looks pretty cool, I must say. Here is the head without the hood piece on, and wait a second. There we go. Now I got the other hood piece on. This hood piece is for when he having it draped over his head. This is just it behind his back. And this looks pretty good too. It's just that the zipper on this one is black and the other one isn't even colored. So that might look kind of weird in stop motion. Anyway, the head looks pretty cool. You can clearly see the nose sticking out from the mask. Good attention to detail. Look at all the wrinkles in the costume, aside from like the tech suit. Very different. I like the attention to detail. You can see it wrinkles up back here. And there's a spider. Here's the hoodie over here. It would have been nice to see some like strings or something coming down from the hoodie, like a real hoodie. But, you know, who cares? Well, those strings down there from the pants. And you can see the wrinkles going all through the pants here. And these are the long socks. This is why I like this figure. I'm gonna be honest, I like this figure just a little bit more than the tech suit Spider-Man, just because I already have a Spider-Man and I don't have a homemade suit Spider-Man, so that's pretty cool. And this one, it also has just more articulation and it looks better too. The head is more round. I like a rounded Spider-Man. Has more articulation, like boot rotation. I don't know why the other figure didn't have boot rotation. That's just like, I don't know why. Anyway, here's the socks and the shoes. I don't really know what these things are. I don't really know what they put in the bottom of the feet in Spider-Man's costumes these days. Anyway, the black lining and the bagels at the bottom of the feet. Turn it around. Here's the. Why do they always put the big glaring white serial number on the back of the leg? They literally have 2 feet that they could do it. 2 feet that they could do it. And they choose to put it on the leg for no reason. Again, really skinny arms. I think the shoulders are a little bigger on this guy. Yeah, as you can see, the shoulders are bigger on this one. I don't know if that's just a bag, if the shirt is baggy and makes his shoulder looks bigger, whatever. Wrinkles continue on the joints. Here's the silver web shooters. They look really nice, actually. And here are the hand. Here's one of the hands, anyway. And the paint for the hands, since there are like 3 colors, red, black, and skin color, of course there's gonna be a bit messy paint job, but you know, that's okay. It's not gonna be seen in that distance anyway. Anyway, that's here are the thwipping hands. One thing I noticed about the thwipping hands on the movie Spider-Man figures and how they differ from the comic book Spider-Man figures is that the pinky and just the pointer finger, both of them, they just curve inward a lot more. My fingers actually do curve inwards a bit, so that's a lot more realistic than the comic book Pizza Spider-Man action figure. It just kind of looks a little weird because you can't hinge them sometimes because of the web shooters, and it just looks like he's doing this, like he's trying to flip someone off with his pinky finger and his pointer finger. It kind of looks weird. And I think the paint on these hands is kind of impressive considering they had 3 colors to paint on these guys. Plus, I saw Shartimus's video on this guy. Check it out, by the way. And the paint on the hands there was kind of messy. This is a lot more clean. I like it. This is definitely something that a teenager would make from stuff at the dollar store. Articulation on this figure is very similar to the other one. That round head just annoys me because it's not the same shape. It's not the same like size even. It was like the head sculpt on this one, even though they're supposed to be the same guy. That just really annoys me. Anyway, he can look up. Not very much at all. He can look up that much. No. You can look down that much. It's kind of hard to move his head up and down. His head swivels, kind of a little bit of pivot. His arms move out that much. Then they rotate 360. His biceps swivel, double jointed elbows. His wrists swivel and hinge down and up. He has an ab crunch that goes forward this much, not as much as the tech suit Spider-Man, and move back about that much. He has a waist swivel. His hips move out that far. I think a little bit more. Let me check. See which one. Yeah, I think it a little bit more than Tech Suit Spider-Man. A bit of more mobility in those sweatpants. Anyway, he kicks forward that much and backwards that much. Upper thigh swivel, double jointed knees. He has boot rotation. His feet can go down, up, ankle pivot, and of course peg holes at the bottom of the feet. Here are the 2 figures side by side, as again you can see that the homemade suit is definitely taller than the tech suit. Now I'm just going to tell myself that's because this guy is wearing shoes and this guy just has a rubber covering and the spandex in his feet. That's what I'm going to tell myself so I don't get frustrated. Why are they different heights again? Okay, anyway, let me see. The homemade suit Spider-Man stands at about 6 inches tall, and the tech suit Spider-Man stands at about a little over 5.5 inches tall. Again, disappointing. Here's them next to the Ultimate Peter Parker Spider-Man, of course from the Ultimate Universe, and they share a pretty similar height. This one just slightly shorter than this one and this one. Here's them next to Carnage. They kind of fit in scale. Well, you think so? Here's them next to the Marvel Select Venom. And I think that these guys are just way too short to be put in a battle between this guy. I mean, with the Pizza Spider-Man, it was okay because he was a little taller. These guys are just way too short in front of this guy. Like, those don't fit scale well at all. Here's them next to a standard 6-inch Spider-Man figure. And of course, this guy is exactly 6 inches. So of course, he's gonna be in scale with this guy a lot more. Again, tech suit Spider-Man. Why you gotta be so short? And here's them finally next to the Pizza Spider-Man. And of course, he's just a little taller than 6 inches because he has an elongated torso. So this homemade suit Spider-Man is just a little bit shorter. This has been my review of the tech suit Spider-Man and the homemade suit Spider-Man. I'm going to be very excited to use these guys in stop motion. There was another firework. Anyway, if you guys want these two to verse, I don't know why that would make sense in a universe, but anyway, if you guys want these guys to fight each other, then like the video, and I will make a stop motion of them versing each other. Be interesting. Yeah, like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff, and make sure to watch my next stop motion, Iron Man versus Captain America. Catch you on the flip side, people. Have a happy Halloween.